to have me moderating this webinar for you. Being involved in the consulting business for a few years, I'm sure there's lots of insight that we can provide everyone on the call today with. Could you please be so kind, Wes, as to give everyone on the call a little background about yourself and history, and obviously for myself, welcome to this webinar, Wes.
Definitely, yeah. Thanks, Adrian. Thanks for hosting this with us. Absolutely, I'll give you some information on Grapevine and on myself. Grapevine as a company has been a leading application provider for businesses for over 8 years. We have a client base around the globe, and the company has experienced growth year over year in both revenue and customer acquisition. We actually originally came to the market with GrapevineSurveys.com, which is an online survey tool which supports all employee-related surveys, such as employee engagement surveys, satisfaction surveys, exit interviews, any training-related surveys as well. We saw a gap in the market. We saw the need for a true multi-rater solution, as there wasn't very many viable options out in the market. So most tools were way too expensive, or they forced a certain intellectual property or methodology, which doesn't always work from client to client. So we were able to take that same easy-to-use engine from Grapevine that's flexible, dynamic, and apply it to a complete multi-rater solution, and that's where Grapevine Evaluations, where it was created. I've been with Grapevine since around 2005 and was responsible for sort of bringing both products, both the surveys tool and the evaluations tool to market. I'm currently the Director of Sales and Operations here at Grapevine as well, but over that time, Grapevine has grown to be one of the most cost-effective, dynamic, easy-to-use 360 solutions in the market. We are a complete web-based solution, so there is no software to install or to download, and that's from either the admin side or your end-user side. All you need is an internet connection, and you are ready to go.
Well, I definitely think that's a lot of information for people to digest, and you're certainly one that is an authority on this subject, so I'm sure that everyone will appreciate what we have to offer here. Folks, what you see on the screen here, we're going to have 5 key benefits that we get into in-depth later in the presentation, and as consultants, I think we can agree that adaptability, efficiency, data, professionalism, and compensation are all key factors in running a successful consultant-based client business. And not only that, but the top-performing consultants really know how to properly use each one of these key factors. Now, just for everyone on the line, I just want to point out that we do have a very special giveaway for those who remain on the call with us until the end of this webinar, and it's something that you're not going to want to miss as a consultant. It definitely benefits your business, so do stay tuned for that. So how about this, Wes? Before we actually get in depth on each one of these key points, let's talk a little bit about 360 feedback in general, and just let's give some education on that. So, my first question to you would be, what exactly is a 360, evaluation, and how does it differ from other performance evaluation methods?
Well, basically, 360 feedback is also known as multi-rater feedback or multi-source feedback. It includes feedback from people that surround you, so such as yourself, your manager, your direct report peers. It gives the employee an understanding of the differences in perception from all the people that work around you. So it can also include feedback from other external sources as well, such as customers or suppliers or other interested stakeholders. Sometimes it may be contrasted with upward feedback, where the manager just provides some feedback and they're given feedback only from their direct reports, or maybe that traditional performance appraisal where the employees are most often reviewed only by their managers. So it's just a different approach, but it sort of gives a bigger picture, and it just allows for more information and data to come in, which only means things are just that much more accurate.
Okay, so we have an idea of what a 360 is. What would you say the actual purpose of a 360 evaluation would be?
Really, there's two main purposes for 360s, and it's either one is either for development or two is for performance. If it's performance related, it may be tied to compensation and be a part of the company's annual review process. But more in development, it can be used more for many things and at all levels, such as executive or individual development, career development, succession planning, or even team building as well.
What would you say are the types of companies that would most benefit from 360 feedback? So you just told us what 360 is and its purpose, but yeah, I would be interested in hearing what type of companies are most likely to benefit from this.
Well, technically, any company can benefit from this, as a 360 feedback program is scalable in terms of company size and is flexible to the needs of all kinds of businesses. 360-degree feedback use is almost universal amongst all Fortune 500 companies. So any company can use it, but the organizations that derive the most benefit from this process use it for individual development planning, coaching, and feedback. They carefully manage every step of the process, from choosing who will participate to investing in extensive training for all involved employees. It really comes down to how a successful implementation and what is done with that data after the fact. In order for 360 to produce the sustainable changes in your managerial effectiveness, the 360 process should be an ongoing practice. This allows the participants to receive continuous feedback on specific skills that can warrant future change in behaviors. Studies show that the more often the manager goes through this process, the greater the improvement in the scores.
For HR consultants specifically, I know a lot of people listening to this, and they might be thinking, what as an HR consultant can we do to ensure that this type of 360 feedback is implemented effectively? Because obviously, it's one of the critical success factors.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, first of all, you need to make sure that the evaluation is not performed just on its own. In addition to the assessment, consultants need to perform development planning and follow-up activities. You also need to ensure that the manager or the person being evaluated supports the evaluations. 360 evaluations work even better if the process starts with the executives at the top and sort of cascades down throughout the organization. You sort of use the senior management as role models. In order for 360 surveys to produce sustainable changes, the 360 process should be an ongoing practice. It allows that participants to receive that continuous feedback on specific skills that you can sort of warrant some future changes. Also choose the participants and manage the feedback process closely. Approving the raters, train everyone involved in advance of what a 360 is, and make sure the managers meet with the subordinates after the fact to discuss that feedback.
Okay, so we have an idea here, how to properly implement it and, what type of companies this is good for. In your opinion, what would you say is the best approach to actually designing one of these 360-degree evaluations?
Basically, the best approach to designing it is to fully customize the 360 feedback process to the specific competencies and values required to meet the company's goals and objectives. You don't need to have only one competency model or one question set to support the whole organization. So you can have different forms, different questions for different layers of management. You can create multiple sets of competencies to ensure their relevancy to the business and the participant roles within that company or organization.
Would you say, and why, why would 360 feedback be superior to other forms of evaluation? What would make a consultant want to choose this approach for their business?
Well, it's superior for many reasons. Mainly, the opinions Concerns are voiced anonymously and encourage a higher level of honesty from the people providing that feedback. It also helps employees see themselves from the perspectives of other team members. Many people are actually surprised by the variance of how they are perceived themselves, as opposed to how they were viewed by their peers and employees. Increases the development for both the organization and the employee. 360 feedback is one of the best methods for understanding your personal and organizational development needs. And in turn, you will have stronger managers and help employees further their careers as they know what to work on. Another main point is that it also reduces the discrimination. When feedback comes from a number of individuals in various job functions, discrimination because of race or age or gender and so on is reduced. That horns and halo effect in which a supervisor rates performance based on her most recent interactions with the employee is also minimized.
For the for the results section, if I was using 360 feedback in my business, what results could I expect from 360 feedback, when performing this to, let's say, top-level managers?
When performed properly, the 360 feedback process will help the leaders. It's going to raise their self-awareness through the understanding of their perspective of their coworkers. It's going to create action plans to guide learning, personal growth, and development where it'll have the most impact. It'll also respond to the needs of the colleagues and the teams, and it's going to foster and empower an empowering team-driven environment.
When it comes to competencies, Wes, do competencies really translate into measurable ROI results? Can you provide any insight on that particular topic?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to share a nice little graphic here with you. It sort of really shows the whole picture of where competencies flow into every sort of step of the process. So the study's showing that the competencies make key connections between the different steps and phases of the management system. This extends from recruitment all the way up to succession planning. When the 360 process is done properly, it positively affects and generates accurate tools and measures needed to drive a successful system. You can't produce an actual figure for ROI, but what are the costs for having the wrong type of leaders in the organization is really the number or the thought that you should have on it.
Okay, I just want to quickly interrupt you here. We actually have a question from someone on the call, and they're asking, do I have to perform 360 evaluations for the entire company? No, a 360 evaluation do not necessarily need to be performed on everyone. You might have it broken down depending on a project objectives. You can evaluate, say, just the executive team, or you can focus on a particular division or department. Maybe you're putting employees through a potential leadership program that you want to focus on them with, or you're just looking to deal with some employees who've either applied for a promotion or an internal job change. Awesome. We'll take one more question here from someone on the call before we continue on. So I'm gonna let's say this one here. Do you have a specific example that you can share showing us how 360 evaluations can be used to develop and improve a leadership program?
Yeah, no, sure, absolutely. One example, I guess one of the companies that worked with us, they narrowed down their list of the high potential employees to 21. They believe these employees had some leadership potential, but there were conflicting ideas and opinions during the group discussions. The company management decided to use a 360 assessment to confirm the supervisor-manager opinion or validate the opinions of others. This was immensely successful. They rated 21 employees and received very candid feedback. After the assessments, 6 people were confirmed as rising stars and placed into an advanced leadership development program. 2 had previously attended the leadership development program and were tasked with continuing education and application of the skills learned. 13 of them were assigned individual development plans based on areas of opportunity and provided individual coaching. But 2 of them were also removed from the leadership grid just due to lack of maturity and response to the coaching. This shows how the results of an employee evaluations can be used in talent management and career development virtually for a company in any industry and of any size.
Okay, just judging from the response here of people on the call, that definitely adequately answers that question. Guys, I just want to remind you as well, for those of you who might have joined the call a little bit later, we are offering a special giveaway for everyone who remains on this webinar until the end of the presentation. So do be sure that you stick around with us for all of this great information. And as a consultant, you will really appreciate this giveaway. So let's move along, Wes. Before we take an in-depth look at the software, how about we summarize quickly? How do companies and organizations benefit from successful 360 management?
Yeah, basically it comes down into 3 main buckets. You have your team development, leadership development, and personal development. So I'm breaking down them under the team development is really your synergy. You get that constructive feedback between team members, allows the group to learn as a whole on how to work more effectively together. You get improved communication, multi-rater feedback. It opens the door for dialogue, which will improve not only for the individual, but the team performances as well. And you get an open development culture that reduces discrimination. So the feedback emphasizes the importance of having a team approach to development, but it will also yield a higher performance for not only the team, but the entire company. So under the leadership development, you have that interactive approach. So using a 360 review focuses on the interactions of both the leaders and collaborators instead of focusing only on the competencies of those leaders. And that trickle-down effect. So the process works best when it starts with the executives at the top of an organization and cascades down throughout the organization. And just that development planning and follow-up. So the 360 allows for framework with which one can plan and engage participants in constructive, individualized planning of the leadership development goals. For personal development, a nice quote that I like is we build great people who then build great product and services. So with that is you just have that career development. So 360 feedback identifies participants' strengths and weaknesses and motivates them to actively participate in one's own development within the company organization. And it will also show that there's that increase in employee engagement. So participants see the feedback directly applied to their jobs as well as the organization, and individual results link that participant more closely to the organization and to his or her supervisors, peers, and customers. So 360s is one of the best methods for understanding personal and organization development needs, and for many reasons as well. Like organizations are no longer responsible for developing the careers of their employees. If they were, multi-rater feedback can provide excellent information to an individual about what she needs to do to enhance their career. So it really seems like a win-win for both sides when produced properly.
Mm-hmm. Let's move into some of those 5 key factors that we mentioned previously at the start of the webinar. I think we should obviously begin with adaptability itself. Personally, let's say that I have a few clients as a consultant, and I would like to offer a custom solution for each one of them. Could you explain a little bit how Grapevine evaluations would be able to help me do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of the Grapevine value is the flexibility and customization that we provide. So I'm going to switch screens here and jump over to my browser. So you can actually see Grapevine firsthand, and so you can see the flexibility that's provided in the tool. So the main thing with Grapevine as well is we don't limit the number of forms you can have in your account. So you can have as many different forms focusing on different questions, different competencies as you need, and you can apply it to client. So if they have any specific needs, not a problem at all. We also don't limit onto the number of raters any individual can have. So you can sort of tailor that feedback and the amount of people that need to give feedback on any individual. And then through the actual setup, you can go through and you can sort of customize your questions. So you can go through, set up whatever questions you need, focus on any competencies that you need. You can customize the rating scale of the actual form, so you can be up to a 1 to 10 point scale, a 1 to 5 point scale. It's up to you. We also support not applicable options as well. The other nice thing about this is we also provide the different relationships categories. So traditionally in your 360 you might have self, manager, direct report, and peers. It doesn't matter. You can have as many different categories as you wish. And this is one area that really separates Grapevine from some of the other tools that are out there, as we're not forcing any process on you. So if you want to have feedback from customers or suppliers, you can do that as well. Or if you just want to use the tool for other things, you can support that and just have a self or manager go through the process. You also, from a flexibility standpoint, comes in the reporting side, where you can customize the report output of what's included and what's not, what sort of data and comparisons you're doing. So throughout the whole setup process, we allow you to sort of tailor that to your individual client's needs from project to project.
You know, I was just trying to think here, Wes, you know, in regards to efficiency, you know, myself, I tend to work a little bit slower. I'm methodical in my process. It's just the way that I am. Is there something that Grapevine can do to help me, or, you know, if there's, I'm sure there's others on the call that are like this, to be more efficient with my time? You know, I'm sure that it's not that we're lazy consultants. It's just that, you know, we work better with the proper framework in place. So do you have anything that you could touch on this aspect?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the most customers we have are individual consultants or consultant firms that are taking Grapevine to their client base. So we've obviously have geared our application with that use in mind. So we have lots of time-saving features built into the tool to streamline the whole process for you, and just at the end of the day, make you more effective and roll these out as quick and as easy as possible. A couple of these features we have and support are under the user admin, so you can have other team members helping you out, playing the role as the administrator. You can give them access to the account, and the nice thing about it is you can control the rights and privileges of each user as to what forms or what data they can see and not see as well. Also from the tool, once you have a form in the account, we have this nice one-click copy. Well, that one click, so if you have a standard form in your account that you wish to use from client to client, one-click copy, and now that form is copied over for you. So that's copied over all your question setups, all your look and feel, all your report settings. So if you need to make any customizations or tweaks to that, you can, or you're just ready to upload the employees, and away you go. So that's definitely a huge time-saving factor. Our whole menu system is set up in this nice step approach, so it's going to guide and walk you through this whole process from start to finish. So step one is where you're setting up the actual form, the look and feel of the form, and managing the content. Step two is where you're telling Grapevine who are the employees being evaluated, who's rating those employees. Step three is where you're launching the evaluations, triggering email reminders, monitoring status to completion, and so where it then walks you into the reports, where you can easily build and download and distribute those reports at the end of the day. One of the nice features we have is the under the distribution area. Under this distribution area, we have essentially we essentially have automated that whole process. So when you click launch or send a reminder, a date and time selector appears. So if you're working on a project in a slow time for you, you need to get all these launched for next week, you can do all your setup now and just schedule, if you want it launched for Monday morning, 9 a.m., you just set the date and time and hit submit. And the same goes for the reminders, same goes for the close. So you can spend a few minutes, set up the whole project, and don't even have to come back to it. Apply yourself to another project, another client, and you know that and have the confidence that behind the scenes, Grapevine is managing this whole process for you, that the reminders are going out, it's being closed when you want. We've really taken every step possible to limit the amount of time or babysitting that you would have to do during the setup or the rollout.
That's awesome, Wes. I'll interrupt you again here. I just was reading, some questions from the audience. Specifically, how many? This is an audience question. How many 360 evaluations can I perform simultaneously using the Grapevine evaluations?
Every form in your account is independent, so you can have as many going on as you need. So again, they're all independent. Each one can have different settings from client to client, project to project, but because they're all independent, you can have as many projects on the go as you need at once.
I just want to remind everyone, again, obviously, we said at the beginning of the webinar, and briefly again, for anyone that came on this presentation very late, we do have a very special offer for all consultants on the call, especially those for everyone that remains until the end of the presentation. So be sure and stick with us until the end. It's a very special gift that we're giving away to you guys, so be sure and stick around. Moving along, I want to get into the data section of this, Wes. What kind of data does Grapevine actually allow me to work with? Does it include any kind of in-depth analysis, or is it just your run-of-the-mill type stats? If you could maybe explain a little bit about this, to myself and everyone else on the call, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, data from the standpoint, really, that comes down to the most important piece of the project. No one's really is too concerned about the rollout. They want to know what's happening after the fact, what's being produced at the end. So from a data standpoint, we provide a lot of options, a lot of flexibility to work with that data. As we show on the screen here, we have a competency manager. So this is where you can customize the competencies and control and map what questions belong to each competency. So Grapevine can do the necessary averaging of each of those areas. We also offer report groups. So you can, instead of looking at a report on how did Lisa, Bill, or Mark do, you can say, how did the team do as a whole, or the department, or the company average? So we also allow you to create these custom groups. And by creating these custom groups, it allows for two main things. One is, as I mentioned, you can now produce executive summary reports on any of these groups. Two is, it also allows for the option of comparison. So on each person's report, not only will they see what their self-manager or their peer direct report average is on that competency or that question, they can also see, how did I compare against the company as a whole, or my team, or my department? So it allows for that flexibility. And then in all the report outputs is all done in PDF format. So when you as the admin, you have access to these results in real time. So another nice thing about it is we are arming you with these reports instantly. So if you're closing this project on Friday at noon, at 12:01, you can essentially download all these reports and send them out to your clients. You might want to hold on to them for a bit if you're being compensated for these services, so they don't realize how easy you're able to do it. But you have access to that data. If you're doing some coaching or debriefing, you can have access to that data and start reviewing any of the reports instantly. There's no lag as to when that data is available. And we also have some great report distribution features as well that will allow you to distribute those reports right into the hands of the to their managers as well. So there's a lot of flexibility in there, a lot of capabilities from the report output, this report manager. This will show all the static pages that we have included within Grapevine. We use the ability to turn every page on or off. So we don't limit you as to how many times you can download reports. So normally I recommend for your first go-through, leave all the pages turned on, download a report, flip through it, and then you can say, okay, I'm going to turn this page off, or I don't want to show them the comparisons to their team or department, so I'm going to turn that page off. And then once you apply your settings, you can download these reports and see any changes that were reflected. So we do give you a lot of flexibility to the reports. We understand the reporting side is the most important piece, we've definitely spent a lot of effort in there and making that a solid part of our product.
Just going to grab a question from someone on the call here, Wes. They're asking, what happens after the survey results have been received by the consultant?
It depends, but usually the client schedules the consultant or the consultant team to conduct either, you do a 1 hour, say, a debriefing with each of the individuals that was evaluated. So you just use that individual report, do the debrief with the employee, and sort of cover how the analysis and the interpretation of the results. In cases where they've done a large amount of employees were evaluated, the client might schedule like a 2-hour workshop for, say, up to 20 leaders to help them process the results and make that data actionable. The consultant could then prepare a summary report that synthesizes the results to determine future training and coaching priorities for the client for the upcoming year.
Awesome stuff. For the next one, I think, for professionalism, as a professional consultant, I need to maintain my expert image of professionalism, within the client's minds. And, previous services, this could be true, I'm sure, for many on this presentation. Previous services have let some of us down before. So maybe, could you explain a little bit about how Grapevine handles this issue? And I think really the key point here is, will it help us as consultants stay ahead of the curve, basically?
Yeah, well, basically for Grapevine, we're here to make you look good. I mean, we are providing you an application that, from one, it's a nice, polished, branded solution. So when you're rolling it out to the end users, you're customizing the look and feel of the actual survey form and the whole process. You're branding it with your logo. So when you're creating these forms, here's what a sample form can look like. So it can be branded with your logo or with your client's logo or a combination of both. But you have this nice polished look and feel to the form and to the sort of intellectual property that you've created. I jump screens here to touch on the end user experience, which is really the most important part. Your clients don't care about the administration and how nice and quick and easy we made it for you to roll this out to them. What they want to know is what is it going to be like for my employees as they're going through this process. So when you send this launch email out to their employees, their login link will take them to this screen, again, that's branded, has that look and feel that you wish. They log in with their user ID and password. Sorry, I had a typo here. They're brought in right to their main dashboard. So it gives them a nice summary as to how many evaluations they're responsible for. So in this case, Bob here, he has 3 evaluations to complete. The nice thing about it is when you click launch, you didn't have to send Bob 3 different emails, different ID, different passwords. He logs in. Everything he's managed or is responsible for is managed in one nice dashboard. So you see the 3 evaluations. You get a summary of one's complete, 2's partial, 0's not started. You just click on the employee value or the evaluations to complete link, and it shows who those 3 people are. It shows the relationship to him and shows the status. And you can simply just click open and work on the evaluation he's already started. You can adjust any comments or provide any questions there. As you click next and navigate your way through the form, you see all that progress meter updates. Bob gets pulled into a meeting or a phone call, you can just click save, come back later to where he left off and complete. So everything that we just looked at in the last 30, 40 seconds here, that is the whole end user approach. So it's very clean, very intuitive. We get tremendous feedback on the ease of use of the product that we made to your, on the use of the product that you're rolling out to to your client's employees. So guarantee it will be well received. The other thing, again, that's most important is the report. So let's touch on quickly what that report export will look like. So the cover page of the report, again, has that logo. So it's nice and branded to you or the client. We have the table of contents showing all the different sections and subsections that you've set up. The first section of the report is this results summary, and this is where we're highlighting the high-level categories or competencies that we're focused on. So we see them, A, B, C, and D. We had our 5-point scale, and you can see the legend there. So in one nice snapshot, you can see the differences in perception, so across the different relationships through each of the competencies or categories. The next page is, again, by competency, by relationship category, you get the graphical and numeric representation of the data. If you've chosen to show any comparisons to company average or team's average, that will appear as well. And it just breaks down each one of those competencies. Then we also show the details so the person can see how did they obtain that average, were all their raters on the same page. We do keep it anonymous. We don't identify anybody by name. These records are shuffled so nobody can tell who D1 is or D2. So we've taken every step possible to still ensure that the whole process being confidential, which is obviously extremely important. The report calculates for them the top 5 strengths and your top 5 areas of opportunity, more of a positive way of saying, you know, these are your lowest 5 scores based on your raters average. Here's your highest 5. We show what the self-score was so you can see that comparison. And then you see the statements and then bold the competencies so you can see, do I need some work or am I strong in any certain areas? And then we break down now in the second competency analysis, we break down each one of these competencies to that question detail. So we calculate the gap, the difference between the self-score in each one of the categories. We identify those in red if you rated yourself higher than that category. And then it just breaks down, you know, by each question within that competency, by relationship, the graphical numeric representation of the data. So it's a very thorough report. Again, you can turn on and turn off any of these pages. So you can have a nice summary report for them, or you can provide, again, all the detail analysis behind the scenes as well. So it's up to you what that output will be. The last section of the report is the general results. So this is where it's collected all of that qualitative data. So you generally will have those questions at the end on how can this person improve or what are their strengths or things they can work on. This is where it's going to collect all of those comments, present them on the report as well. So not only is it just that quantitative data, also that qualitative data is included in the report. So this is the type of report that, again, is available instantly when you download a report from Grapevine. So, again, we're here to make you guys look good. We offer a nice, polished, branded solution. If you have clients that were on more of a paper-based solution, you can always provide now moving them to this online sort of platform. It just shows sort of initiative towards sort of innovative new technology. Again, it's a nice, simple, effective end-user side, and then consultants will become an authority to their client base, making client base much quicker than before, just due to the flexibility of the tool.
In regards to, you know, obviously compensation and cash and everything, you know, basically revenue, you know, being able to grow, you know, our compensation while still being efficient is something that I'm sure, you know, some or many consultants have struggled with. particularly if some programs, have let them down in the past. Wes, could you tell us a little bit, maybe, how does Grapevine handle this issue, if at all?
Well, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you need to. The beauty about Grapevine, especially for consultants and using a tool in Grapevine or trying to move into, say, a 360 project for your clients, it opens up the door to many different revenue streams. So for the initial part, so if you have a client that is looking to do a 360, whether it's just the managers or the executives, whatever, that's always a start, which is good. So you can always recommend, let's start off with the executive team and then cascade that down as they put. There's definitely the value there when the executives set that example and go through it. But again, now it's going to open up the door to multiple projects hitting the different layers of management. But within each project, think about the potential opportunity you have. So one, you might now be compensated for creating or building a competency model and question set. So if they didn't already have something, you obviously are going to spend some time creating this competency model and these question sets to align with their objectives as well. You're going to be compensated for doing the actual administration of the 360, and we just showed you how quick and easy we've made that process for you. You're then going to be compensated for producing these reports, presenting these reports. And again, look how quick and easy we've been able to show all of that. So then from there, you can always push the coaching and debriefing aspects. So those reports are going to now lead to other opportunities. Again, from doing those either debriefing or doing the workshops, or to now you found areas that they need to provide some training to their team on. So you can start doing the training workshops in those specific areas and have the people that needed that training sort of attend. So, and then the process starts over when they want to drill down to another layer. Or, hey, let's see in a year from now how our team has improved and do the project all over again. So there's a lot of opportunity in this type of project to go to your clients. At the end of the day, will allow you to be compensated for, and like I said, we've done our part to try and make this as streamlined and make you as efficient as possible from client to client.
Well, I think that just about covers everything regarding successful 360 management, Wes. I think now would be as good a time as ever. Everyone, we promised that there's a very special offer for those of us, or for those of you who did remain with us, until the end of this webinar. And as a consultant and all, you typically have to pay a portion out of pocket for these kinds of things. And Wes, maybe if you could elaborate on just what this gift and this offer is for those folks who have stayed on this webinar with us until now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So part of the Grapevine price model, it's probably something you've been thinking of in the back of your head, sort of wondering, well, what are the costs of using Grapevine? Grapevine is a very scalable product. It allows you, it's all priced by the number of employees that you wish to have evaluated. So whether you're dealing with just a small sort of company and have 10 employees to do, or you're doing a team of 200 managers, it's all scalable to that price per head. The more employees you have, the cheaper the cost per head. So you can apply this and take Grapevine to your clients, and it's going to be a cost that's within reach for sure. The value for staying with us today that we wanted to waive is there for each account in Grapevine, there's a $499 setup fee, and we're waiving that setup fee for you folks today. Basically, the setup fee includes we provide you or your administrators a training session, gets you up and running and comfortable with Grapevine, and then from there you have unlimited phone and email support. So part of that whole setup fee we're waiving, and typically that was always, I find, a hurdle with your consultants sort of to try and take this, as not a lot of time you can pass those costs on to the client. So it's something that you need to absorb, which isn't always easy. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for you to start using Grapevine. You can have your account be ready for these client projects, and start buying these licenses as you need them, from project to project. So we're waiving that setup fee for you today, with hopes that you see the bigger picture, and you can see the opportunities that you have with Grapevine in taking this to your client base.
Wes, there's a question here from Goran on the call. Goran's asking, I think you briefly just answered this in your statement there a minute ago, but he's saying, fantastic offer, really appreciate this, Wes. I'm interested in joining as it looks like a really awesome program, but I'm just a little worried that this is more for large-scale consultants. Will this work for smaller consultants such as myself? Maybe you could just touch on that point briefly again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So no, it definitely, as I mentioned, it is a scalable solution. So you're not coming out of pocket, especially now that we're sort of waiving that setup fee. You're only going to be paying the license fee, and that license fee, again, is driven by the number of employees you wish to have evaluated. So it really comes down to the opportunity size. Our pricing starts at $69 an employee at the minimum, and then can go down to as low as $20 an employee. So it's very flexible, very scalable for any size opportunity or any size consultant.
Just one more question we have time for here, and it's from Mary. Mary's asking, is there any kind of structured training provided, or do we just have to phone in for support when we require it?
So again, a part of that setup fee, and just because we're waiving that setup fee doesn't mean we're going to drop that training session, is we provide everyone with like a welcome training session that we're going to take you through the whole tool from top to bottom, get you comfortable with administering and rolling out Grapevine. If you have a specific project you're working with, we'll guide you and point you in the right direction. At the end of the day, we're here to help. Grapevine support is one area that separates separates us from a lot of our competitors. We get tremendous feedback on the support we provide. We just recently did a customer survey, and our support, the comments and testimonials we received back were fantastic. We're here not just for technical support. We're here to guidance. At the end of the day, we want you to get the best experience from using Grapevine, as that's only going to help to ensure that you come back with the next project. So we're here to help to make sure you've set it up the best way possible, that you're going to get the most out of the reports at the end of the day, which is what your clients are going to be interested in.
And for people that are interested in contacting you further, maybe they want to call you or email you or something, what is the best way for folks to get in touch with you? I see you have some information there on the screen.
Yeah, my direct contact line is on the screen. Please feel free to reach out to me directly as well. If you have any specific thoughts or a specific client project that you feel might be unique, I think you'd be surprised how flexible Grapevine is to support different needs and different uses. So if you want to chat through anything, please feel free to reach out to me as well on grapevineevaluations.com. We've provided many different resources. We have a fantastic product tour. It's about a 12, 13-minute video on the whole product. You can watch that. And we also offer to download a sample report, so if you wanted to share that with your clients. Or there's a demo request on there as well. So there's lots of information online, but please don't hesitate to reach out and contact me directly should you want to discuss anything one-on-one as well.
Well, I think that about wraps it up, Wes. I'd like to personally thank everyone for being on the call. We are out of time, guys, so if you do have any other questions, please do feel free to contact Wes, and I'm sure he'll help you out in any way that you require it. So, Wes, thank you personally for being on this call today.
I thank you as well, Adrian. I also want to thank everyone else that attended today, and I look forward to discussing some future opportunities with them, and and hope you give us the opportunity to earn your business.
Awesome. All right, guys. So everyone, take care, and thanks for joining us on today's webinar. Bye-bye, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.